Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Needs Some Introduction. I'm your host, Victor, and on this podcast, we go week to week, breaking down a streaming favorite, or perhaps multiple streaming favorites. On this particular episode of the show, we'll be discussing the second episode of Lanterns, the HBO Max series, and also be checking in on Reacher and talking about other things we watch. To be honest, these type of shows, this Lantern specifically, I'm not a big comic book lore hound, so it's not the kind of podcast we are here. So this is allows you to have these other side conversations, which honestly, I really like having. Joining me for these side conversations and main conversations is Darren. Darren, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, Victor. Yeah. I've caught up on Lanterns this week and a couple of other things as well. So yeah, it's good. It's we're almost missing that show that we watch and then record straight away because we've just finished Lucky and maybe Lanterns is going to become that show, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually going to be, let's save it for the Lantern part of the conversation because that is part of the reason that I'm looking for other shows to cover because this is just something that happens with certain HBO shows. I had a similar experience in watching the Welcome to Derry series as well, which I didn't. I'm enjoying this more than the It series. But at the same time, like HBO just knows how to make a show that is watchable, even if it's not great, even if I'm not like looking forward to the next season. This Lantern series is definitely much more entertaining to me than that is. However, I just, as I'm watching it, I'm like, and then that happened, and then that happened. Like, I don't really have any kind of deep insights to offer to the series, which maybe I was hoping for, given the fact that this is also some of the creative team of the Watchmen series, which was the type of show that I could really dig into the themes. And also, I also knew the Watchmen series, so there was adaptation, points to make. All that is to say that maybe Lanterns becomes that kind of show. For me, not quite that show yet, although I am enjoying it. So we'll break it down.
Yeah, it's getting there to me. There, not to spoil what we're going to talk about, but yeah, the second half of this episode was getting there.
Yes.
It got me excited for sure.
Yes, exactly. But at the same time, when I'm taking my notes, I'm like, plot. That's pretty much all I have to say. Unlike, speaking of something we have just 1 week to go, is of course the other show we're covering currently, which is Furious, which is a show that it really generates really intriguing conversations and has become a really popular show, has become very popular for us here on the podcast. And not only is it something I like to have a conversation with Sona on the podcast, but it also seems to be a show that so many of my just people who I'll normally be watching something like Task, for example, and I tell all my friends, they're like, what are you watching? What are you watching? I'm like, Task. And they're like, oh yeah, we watched one of that. Oh yeah, we're behind on that. People aren't really watching the show. I don't think Furious is huge, but everybody I know, like especially couples, they're all watching Furious, which is pretty amazing.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I need some friends like yours because no one here has heard about it. Everyone I talk to hasn't heard about it. So maybe because it's hidden away on Hulu, on Disney Plus, people aren't finding it. But yeah, I sat down to watch Lanterns on Monday night. I was really excited. Just came out. I was like, let's do this. And the wife was like, Furious is out tonight. We got to watch Furious. And I was like, of course we do.
Right.
So that took prime position, and then we had to watch that as soon as we could. And yeah, absolutely loving it for sure.
A couple other things I saw. I have not finished watching this. It just became available to rent last night. And I honestly wanted to discuss it because we were going to talk about Reacher. And I couldn't finish this movie because it kind of put me to sleep, but it's not necessarily terrible. Have you heard of this movie called Motor City?
Yes, I have. It's Alan Ritchson. I've heard an interview with him talking about it. It's set in Detroit and it's no dialogue in it. Is that right?
I have so many things to say about this movie, which I haven't even finished watching yet. On the one hand, I feel like if they hadn't tried to do this whole no dialogue thing, the film would have been easier to watch. But it's worse than that, Darren. They do have dialogue here. It's just pretty minimal. But most of the other actors, I mean, I don't think Alan Ritchson has spoken a single word in this movie that I've seen, which is about half of it I've watched so far. But I don't think he's spoken a single word. but all the other characters have spoken. And it's not like long, eloquent conversations, but, they have perfunctory conversation here and there. And I'm like, well, you either commit to it or you don't. And all of this makes it a very weird watch for me because I don't understand, like, you either do it or you don't do it. And this continuously makes me nitpick the film and the decisions it's making. So it's not, I mean, it's very stylish. And I think that this filmmaker, who I've liked his previous work to some extent, it just kind of bit off a little more than he can chew. And given the fact that they did record dialogue, and like a lot of times it's just muted or in the background, or sometimes they just allow the characters to talk to each other, it almost feels like maybe he shot it both ways. And maybe he should have just been like, you know what, let's just make a straight up kind of action noir set in the 70s and not worry so much about the supposed conceit of no talking, because there's a lot of talking. There's a lot of amazing needle drops in this movie, by the way. Like, this movie didn't cost that much to make. They got like The Chain by Fleetwood Mac. They have the Cat People song. The rock and roll version of the David Bowie song is the opening sequence, by the way, like setting, what does he say? What's the big quote there is, putting out fire with gasoline, which of course was also used in Inglourious Basterds. So another really, again, you're reusing a song that's already become like iconic moment in another. All these things are very distracting choices is what I'm trying to say. And immediately, by the way, I'm wrong-footed by this because it opens with the putting out fire with gasoline song. And it starts off and it says Detroit, 1977. And I'm like, Let's Dance came out in 1982. You guys are wrong. So like maybe I'm not supposed to be taking it so literally, but a lot of this was just, and because it's all a stylistic exercise, you start overly, for me, this is me, start to overly think about the decisions that are being made. So it's, but it's all this, I have nothing but negative things to say. And I honestly do have nothing but negative things to say, but it's actually not terrible. It's like, I admire someone for trying something different. Alan Ritchson, without speaking a single word, does a pretty good job in his performance. But it is very sleepy. I got to tell you, like, he is just, I'm not going to give away the plot here, which isn't that much, but he's just giving away, I should say, he's just about to, that the action is about to kick in about halfway through the movie. And until then, I was kind of really, it was tough because you have this whole like down on his luck guy who's got out of prison and lost his girl and all this stuff. And it's all being done without any dialogue, which really made me want to sleep, which what ended up happening. So
there is a few movies like that. I think John Woo did one recently.
Oh yes,
where that's the conceit. Yeah, it's all the audio, music, and sound effects, and no dialogue, which is always a little bit of a challenge. And unless they nail it, then it can be a bit of a struggle. I didn't finish that John Woo one either. Alan Ritchson's having a bit of a moment. He's got another movie coming out this week, I see, which is called Runner. Is that it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, another movie that with a generic title that you don't know what's about. So, but at least he's getting work, and he's got his name up in lights. And as long as he keeps doing Reacher, I'm happy.
And this is going to sound more prurient than it is intended to be, but Shailene Woodley, again, just decisions that are shocking in this. Shailene Woodley is in this film, and she has a pretty big part, but it's a pretty thankless part. So it's kind of surprising. Like, why would she do this? And you get to see her beautiful bosoms at one point. And in this like really weird scene, which I won't even go into, but it's kind of like a dream sequence. And I'm like, I can't believe she got naked for this movie. Like, what? Like, she doesn't need the money. It's just very weird to see that this is that this is part of the selling point of this film. It's really a weird project in many ways.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like she's done some strange choices in some of the movies. She's so talented and so brilliant in some things, but then she does some weird stuff. That's like, why do you need to do that?
Yeah, I mean, and this is like an all-star cast, and it's very strange that this is that a lot of these people have made this particular film, which is very low stakes. I mean, but even at its best, some of the really stylistic music and visual cues are pretty cool. So if you like that type of stuff, like just the style, I guess it's kind of, that's its big selling point. But I feel like they didn't quite pull it off, but I can't fault someone for trying something different.
Right, and that's out on streaming at the moment, is it?
Yeah, it's just come out on streaming. I'm sure it'll be available. I mean, I'm sorry, it's available for digital rental, but I'm sure it'll be available to stream very shortly. So, yeah, it flopped and at the box office. A very quick turnaround on that. So, like you said, he was on his press tour. The movie's already out at home video. So.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't see it advertised at the cinema. I've only heard it being in his interviews, him promoting it and pumping it up so much. So the title was in my brain because he was selling it so hard. So it sounded interesting, but maybe not worthwhile.
Yeah, take that all with a grain of salt. If you really like him, there's kind of something to sell there. And primarily the reason to watch it. Anything you watched recently other than the shows we're going to talk about here today?
Yeah, so we sat down on the weekend with a few family members and we watched this film, Don't Say Good Luck, which is on Netflix. It's a Netflix movie. It's made by the Happy Madison production, so Adam Sandler. He's not in it.
His daughter, right?
His youngest daughter is in it. And it's like a coming-of-age drama. She's a 16-year-old theatre kid. She's auditioning for her school play, which is Waitress, which I haven't seen that musical. So it was interesting seeing scenes from that musical. And the whole conceit is that her mother is dying of cancer, or she's got cancer that has come back. So they've dealt with that in the past, and now it's come back at this important time in this girl's life. And it's a very touching movie. I quite enjoyed it. You're gonna need the tissues handy because there's some quite heavy scenes, but we all sat down as a family and watched it. The musical sequences are really excellent. And this Sunny Sandler has the juice. So as soon as she gets underneath the wing of her father, she's going to go far, I think, because she's an adorable on-screen presence. She nails the singing, she nails the acting, she nails all the touching moments. She's a very lovely friend to her friends in the film. And this is the second film I've seen with her in it, and she's the star of the whole situation. I think the other one was something about you won't get invited to my bat mitzvah or something, another Netflix movie, which is a couple of years younger, but she's still equally as good. So we really enjoyed it. It's nothing earth-shattering, but it is quite touching and quite sad. But there's some great performances. Melanie Linsky plays the mother in it. She's always excellent. So yeah, don't say good luck. You say break a leg when you're going on stage.
That's
so
right.
yeah, I thought it was a really interesting film, and it's something on Netflix that is actually worth watching, that they produce kind of in-house or under this whole Adam Sandler production deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard good reviews for that, but it wasn't really on my radar, but I'll definitely check it out. And especially if it's something I can watch with the family that's always looking for something like that.
And it does introduce a few tricky conversations as well. My 10-year-old's like, what's cancer? How does cancer come? All these kind of very innocent questions come up because of watching this film. So yeah, it was quite interesting to have a conversation about it. A lot of people get cancer and a lot of people die, and it's terrible. And it touches us all. So it's it's something that you will possibly be faced with at some point in your life, which is quite terrifying.
Dolly Parton, we just found out, died of cancer just yesterday.
Incredible. Yeah, I was wondering whether you were going to do a little recap of her films that she's been in.
Good point, actually.
Yeah, none really come to mind. She's kind of like that generations before me, but you always know of her as such a cultural icon, and she seems just such a wonderful lady in all the stories you hear. There's nothing negative about any stories about her. So yeah, that's a real shame.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about the whole movie connection because she was a big star at one point. But honestly, that's kind of a blind spot for me because other than 9 to 5, I think that's the only thing I've ever seen her in. So, but she was in. She did have a run there for a while, though, for some very big films. There's that terrible film she made with, what's his name, with Sylvester Stallone. Rhinestone? Is that what it's called? Rhinestone?
Where she's his mum or something?
No, they're like, no, she's like, he wants to be like a country singer or something. And she's like his mentor, and they sort of romance together. So this is like early 80s. So it's an interesting pairing of the two of them. And it was a big, like a notorious flop at the time because obviously he was a huge star, and she was a huge star too. 9 to 5 was a huge blockbuster, number one hit song. And then, they got together just a couple of years later to make Rhinestone at the peak of their fame at that moment. And it was a big flop. So,
I've not seen that, but
I haven't seen it either. I just heard it's terrible. So that's my note, but so.
She was in Steel Magnolias, I can just see.
Oh,
so
right.
That was quite a large film. Yeah.
Another film I haven't watched, but yes, it's very huge film back when I was younger too.
I feel like I watched it as a kid and I was like, what am I even doing this to myself?
He probably watched scenes of it. Like everybody's seen scenes from that. Speaking of cancer, right? So. Upcoming on the podcast real quick, just to mention that Alan will be on the main feed. We're going to be talking about Dark Matter. Have you ever seen Dark Matter? Have you ever watched this series? Darren?
I feel like I started watching the pilot and I got frustrated with the whole conceit of it. Even though I really love Joel Edgerton is in it, isn't he? And also Jennifer Connelly, is that right?
Stunning, yeah.
Love those two, love them, but I just felt like, I don't know, it didn't stick for me at that time, but I can see that it's been really popular, and that's great that it's getting a second season.
Yeah, honestly, I had some issues with the series itself, which I did cover here on the podcast by myself, but this is like Alan's his top 3 shows of all times or something like that, which I personally didn't find there was that much to the story beyond but I do think it'll be an interesting conversation given the fact, obviously someone who has that passion for a show and to discuss it. Something else that's coming on the podcast, I think is going to be on the podcast here, Darren, rolled into our ongoing conversations. Probably we'll just have new shows come on and other shows drop off, because in the middle of the month, just as Reacher ends, we have, I don't even know if you even knew this was coming, but the second season of Mobland is coming in the middle of the month.
Oh yeah, I knew this was coming, and I think we've got to watch this, don't we?
We do. It's very popular for us, so we got to give it a shot at least.
All right, I'm going to go into this one with an open mind. I had massive problems with that first season, but it was always entertaining, at least watching the opening titles and seeing how they would play this crazy story. Yeah, all right. And there's a bit of controversy about this show because Tom Hardy's been kicked off it apparently.
Or he's back on now. Apparently they've negotiated something for season 3. So, he had finished season 2, so that was done. But they had kicked him off for season 3, but apparently they have now renegotiated, so he is back on season 3.
Well, that's sure
what
to me.
It all played out, but
interesting. Yeah. Oh, well, I'd love to hear the behind the scenes story of that. So they just backed up the money truck and he's like, oh, yeah, why not? All right. Interesting. Well, we're going to have to watch that. Yeah. I'm a little bit wary though.
I'm concerned as well, but I do think that's the type of show that I think has a lot of potential. So, I mean, I'd love to, another mob show that, a soapy, all these shows. I mean, I'm rewatching The Sopranos, and I'm loving The Sopranos, by the way, in rewatch. So there's always something to be the interpersonal dynamics within a crime organization, whether it's Peaky Blinders or The Sopranos or similar shows like that. So that's always like really one of my favorite genres. It didn't quite gel for me in Mobland, but I mean, like I said, it's got all the components. So very much curious to see. And we'll be checking it out. It's coming back on the 18th. So.
Yeah, that's cool. And you need to introduce another couple of characters into that, and it could just take off, I mean, the recipe's there. It's all there. It just needs to light fire. Yeah, okay, cool.
Speaking of a show that I enjoyed much more, and also a Guy Ritchie connection, I don't know if Guy Ritchie's doing anything for Mobland, but next week, the second season of The Gentleman comes to Netflix, and I loved the first season of The Gentleman. And I've been really off on Guy Ritchie. By the way, he had a movie that came out this summer, Into the Gray, I think it was called, and nobody saw it. It was a complete disaster. And this is not his first disaster in a row. He's had a string of them recently, but his movies, he's probably just churning out too many of them. They've all flopped in the past few years, but his TV work's been better. And I thought The Gentleman was terrific. I really enjoyed the series. Did you see season 1 of The Gentleman?
That's a blind spot for me. I think I started the first episode, but didn't get through it for whatever reason. So that's something that I'd like to catch up on and I still haven't seen the movie either. Is the movie in connection with this, or there's characters?
You know what? I saw the movie only after I saw the series to see if there was any connection. Like maybe I missed something. And it's like it's in the family. Like there's like there's this guy who did this over there. That's referring to the movie, but completely tangential. There's no shared characters between the two. So.
Okay, cool. Well, I might check that out because I always love that kind of style, and if it's got any type of Guy Ritchie style in it, it's pretty interesting to watch. I mean, you say his movies have all flopped recently, but any movie that I watch with his kind of fingerprint in it or that he's directed, he does some very different things movie to movie. That's not all the same. So yeah, I think he's really creative. I think he probably works too much, I think maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I caught up on a bunch of his like little gangster films leading up to, because I thought we were going to do a career retrospective on him last year when that Tree of Life or whatever the hell not Tree of Life, but what was it called? Something of Life. That Apple TV, Fountain of Youth. Yeah, Fountain of Youth. The
terrible.
Which was absolutely horrible. But it's funny because I saw all these kind of smaller stakes like Rue de Guerre and
love that one.
Yeah, which were same thing. Like I gave all of them like 2.5 or 3 stars, which sounds, low, but I mean, they are all just fun. Like they're just, even the 2.5 star one, like were mostly entertaining for me. And, but yeah, I saw that his recent output just seems to be really just like, he seems bored with his own style at this point. So he needs something to rejuvenate it. And I'm not sure if churning out a movie every 6 months is the way to do it, but it's questionable. I did like that World War II one he did, the what was it called? The Gentleman. Oh, what the hell was it called? Not The Gentleman. It was called The League of.
Oh yes,
with Ritchson. Alan Ritchson is actually in it.
Yes, yeah, and yeah, I know exactly the one you meant, and that was fun. That was really cool. It was really interesting.
Yeah, and another big flop, but I actually thought that one was a lot. and they gave it a big release. They thought it was going to be a hit, and it just didn't connect. But that was actually a lot of fun, I thought.
Yeah, it had one of the Superman actors in it, and it had Alan Ritchson in it as another cool guy. Henry Cavill, that's right. Yeah, that was really cool. I quite enjoyed that. I love Rue de Guerre, Operation Fortune. I've seen that like 3 or 4 times. I think it's just so fun. And he also did one with Jake Gyllenhaal in the last couple of years called the Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. He actually got his name. That was like very
serious, by the way, which I was, which was good. It's actually a good film, but it's like, not necessarily the kind of freewheeling fun type of film that he usually churns out, these low stakes crime films. But do check out The Gentleman. I think if you like Rue de Guerre, I think The Gentleman is basically almost the same movie, but a lot more fun and with with more plot twists, and it's a lot more than Rue de Guerre and a lot more stuff going on, and also just so fun. Like just such a Hugh Grant is just an utter blast in the Gentleman film.
Okay, I'll put that at the top of my list because, yeah, I loved Hugh Grant in Rue de Guerre. I think he's just so good in that. So fun. Knows exactly what he's doing. So, yeah, all right, I'll check that out.
Yeah, unlike that, where he's kind of like a creep that you really don't like, even though he's charismatic in Rue de Guerre. In The Gentleman, he's like such a jerk, but you kind of love him, even though he's like a total scumbag. But he's a very, you kind of love the guy.
He plays a scumbag so well.
He really does.
I think that feeds into his actual personal life as well. He's too good at it.
Perhaps. Yeah, and I have a bunch of other things that we'll be talking about throughout September. Of course, we have the Resident Evil movie coming out on the 18th also, which is going to be a big deal, I think. But let's save that for later conversation. Maybe we'll have an episode where we discuss this Resident Evil film, and we rank all the Resident Evils. Just kidding, we're not going to do that.
Don't make me watch all of those. Although I've seen a couple.
For me, it's like the first Resident Evil movie gets like 3 stars, and all the other ones are like 1 star. So we don't have to do that to ourselves.
But this next one's exciting because
course.
It's the director of Weapons. Zach Kroger has made it. So what's he done with this one? Has he done another lightning in a bottle movie, which is going to build on his body of work? Short, very small body of work, but very impactful. So yeah, looking forward to that as well.
Well, the early reviews, I think I told you this already. The early reviews, they had some secret screenings, and the reaction from the audience was that it is just nonstop, absolutely like experiential, crazy, edge of your seat filmmaking for like 85 minutes. That's it. It's the whole movie's like less than an hour and a half long, and it's just nonstop for 85 minutes, and then it's over. You could see two of it instead of watching the Odyssey one time.
How refreshing. A movie that comes in around 90 minutes. Wow. Who would have thought that people would want to see something like that?
I'm sure they do. But you know what? When you spend, at the same time, when you spend $200 million on a movie, you make it as long as you want. You may not get another bite at the apple. So.
This, you're not saying Resident Evil is $200 million.
No, but you know, it's
a reference to the Odyssey.
$80 million. $80 million. So it's quite
$1 million a minute. Okay.
A budget increase. Although apparently Krager got $20 million for this movie.
Holy moly. That's on top. Is that on top?
No, so it's his 20 is included in that budget. So apparently he got a $20 million bid. There was a bidding war for this movie. So after Weapons. So.
Yeah, that's good work if you can get it. Good on you.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's start with Reacher, because I think it's going to be a pretty quick conversation here with Reacher. A lot of fun, big plot twist here. In case anybody's behind on Reacher, by the way, I think we're just going to lay it all out there because we're going to run through it pretty quickly. But of course, the big plot twist here is that these, very much like a noir, which this season of the show has been set up with, we have the femme fatale, right, where literally his girlfriend turns out to be the bad guy.
And they're very handy with their culturally specific weapons, aren't they?
They should be a little more anonymous with the weapons they use, considering they could give themselves away just for that.
I'm loving the show. Yeah, I watched the latest episode last night. It's just sticking to a formula. Almost this, it's very interesting the way that when the show slows down and there's a scene where you need a bit of exposition, there's a couple of characters talking, and there's cutaways to the other two characters just kind of looking at each other, taking all the information in. It's like a formula that they redo over and over again, which is fine because what breaks it up is this massive dude punching, killing.
Right.
It's just the action inside the jail cell was just so amazing. It was a little bit
the guy's ear off.
When I started it did say rated for blood and gore, and I was like just rubbing my hands together going, what is Reacher gonna do this week? Yeah, never fails to deliver. Really loving this season, perhaps the best season of all the Reachers, I reckon. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we're still very much in the middle of the season here, so it's kind of somewhat slow, although I'm still really fascinated by what could possibly be on this, flash drive that people are willing to die for. I especially love this episode where they have the girls, they like pull off this maneuver where they like turn the corner and, are able to trap them on the bridge. Their car's destroyed. And they're like, the brother here who wants his vendetta, like, I'm going to sit here while they machine gun my car. Like, just terrible decision making. I do love that the show, again, acknowledges how stupid this is in having the hacker guy just jump out of the car and run away. He's like, I'm out of here. He's the smart one here. And literally, he backs into like machine gun fire and he's like apologizing to his partner, being like, sorry that I got you killed. But of course, the cops do show up just in the nick of time and these women jump off the bridge. But all of this is just hilarious to me. It's just like, what is she literally at one point there, like her partner, the killer's partner, she's like, we need to get out of here. The cops are right here. And she's like, but he has the flash drive. I'm like, oh my God, so many people are willing to die for this flash drive. There better be something really good on this flash drive. Apparently it's like a photograph. I mean, I have a feeling that there might be something encoded in the photograph or something, but at this moment, doesn't seem to be that earth-shattering.
No, but there's that shadowy figure in the back of the photograph, which we don't know. I'm sure he's going to come in and play a very important part. I do love how funny it is, and it knows it, and how it introduces that character that comes out of his house with the giant teddy bear talking to his daughter. I've bought this for your birthday. I can't wait to see you. I'm coming to pick you up. You know, it's so beautiful, our relationship. And then he gets his throat cut straight away by these Indonesian assassins. It was shocking. I think my wife was in the room going, "What the hell is this?" It's Reacher. You don't understand.
She's like, "Oh, Reacher again, of course."
It just makes me laugh too much for an action TV show. I'm laughing all the time. It's basically a comedy.
That's what's so crazy about the show is that it somehow is. I thought in season 1, it was a mistake that the show was making me laugh when I was probably supposed to be like really at the edge of my seat. And I don't know if they just leaned into that and are aware of it now, but it obviously is a formula. I love the scene where he's on the phone and he's still like giving the lowdown on what's going on as the police are, approaching. And the other police woman who I can't remember her name, but she says, "What are you going to be doing?" As the cops are like 4 feet away from him, and he's like running, and he runs away. But I like how he finishes the phone call before he runs away. He's like, "Can we get to the end? Because these cops are like 15 feet away from me."
He's so efficient, and he's running from every government agency now. Yeah. He's the wanted man. He's on every news channel. I mean, how is he going to get out of this? We know he is. He's going to get out somehow, but it's just fascinating. Do you think the CIA guy, the CIA in quotation marks, whether he is actually CIA, I don't know, with his ear ripped off, he's going to come back, isn't he? He's going to come back and target Reacher again and get his ass handed to him once again.
Oh yeah, this is like the punching bag for the season, which is another formula they have, where there's always this one guy who just gets more and more beat up by Reacher, and this guy's going to be like the stooge that is, inevitably going to be Reacher at the end of the finale is going to have to like jump out of a burning building or something, and is going to like use the guy like as a flotation device or something. Like he's like, "Sorry, I'm gonna have to use your body as a cushion, and we're gonna drop 10." He'll like drop 10 floors and flatten the guy out to the ground, and then just get up and walk away.
Oh, that guy is just so hated. He's just such an asshole that it's so great seeing him. He thinks he's got Reacher every time he sees him. He thinks he's got Reacher, but no.
I did love Reacher's move this time where he's just timing the I like the guy, like he's way too cocky to be like, "I'm going to walk over here and shoot you with this." He needs something more powerful than this. This, and he shoots it right into the pillow. Reacher perfectly times it. This is just such silliness here. Just really all of this. So, Reacher, of course, can just get out of any possible situation, which is just fantastic.
And it put me on the edge of my seat as well when his offsider fell from the roof onto the glass.
Oh yeah, that was great.
The glass ceiling. The glass is cracking. I'm like, how are they going to get out of it? And they get out of it in a way that I would never have picked. It's just, still very surprising and very exciting watching it. Yeah, it's a real thrill.
Although I have a nitpick on that when he says to her, "Hang on," and he doesn't just throw her the rope. It's like, "Here, grab this rope that I just swung down from the building." Because if he hangs on, she hangs onto the rope, and the glass breaks. She just descends on the rope, and he can also descend on the rope too when he's getting shot at. So that whole thing was just preposterous. But that's just me. I like how he puts the rope aside. He puts it down, and he's like, "Hang on, I'm coming." I'm like, "Throw her the rope. What are you doing? You have it in your hand, man."
Yeah, right. I assumed it was. Yeah, I don't know. I assumed it was.
It was at the end of the rope. No, there was more rope.
It was the end. Yeah. Come on,
it would be funny. They could have just done that, where the rope like is a little short, so he has to like hop off the end, and he can't throw it to her. But there's plenty of rope left. He could just throw it to her.
Yeah, it's cool. And I did see that there's a spin-off show that starts very soon after this series finishes. So hopefully that has the same level of comedy and action. I'm not sure if they're going to go for the exact same thing, but with a woman, which I'm completely fine with. I thought she was a pretty cool cat in the previous seasons. Whether she shows up in this, I bet she does. And it might link to her standalone show. So yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I actually had a feeling that we wouldn't see her at all because it's actually kind of glaring now that you bring it up that she's always his inside person, his inside woman that gets the drop and like knows when they're coming for him, and he brings her in as part of this operation. And the fact that it's glaring that he has not reached out to her at all this entire season, considering things have really escalated at this point. But you make a good point that maybe it's something that happens towards the very end of the season, and then they could have some kind of crossover. And I have also had suspected that he would not be at all in Neagley, which is the name of the character and the name of the show, which is coming, which that is going to be a binge, by the way, for anybody who's curious about it. So it premieres the same night that Reacher ends. It is a binge, but Reacher is in there. Like I saw the trailer and he's in there. So I think it's just probably a small part, but of course they're passing the baton. So he's going to make an appearance on that series as well to kind of transition this huge audience, hopefully get some of them over to that other side.
Well, that'll be a big night of watching, won't it?
Yeah, for sure. Anything else you want to say about Reacher before we switch over to Lanterns?
No, just how much joy Reacher always brings me. Yeah, it's great. And I've definitely bonded with this season more than any other. In the others, I would kind of save up a few and then binge them. But this one, I'm just watching every week. So yeah, that's a testimony to that show.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of show. I mean, they're probably smart because it's so massive to go week to week on it. But it's easily the show that I could binge because every time, like, at the very end of this episode too, it's like we're just again in this like cliffhanger moment where you definitely want to know, well, what happens next, and it will be perfect thing for a binge. But they also know they can make us wait because we're tuning in. The audience the ratings are still huge. I don't know if they're bigger than last year, but they're at least as big, so it's pretty massive. All right, let's talk about Lanterns. So what'd you think about this episode? I assume you have no relationship with Green Lantern, the comics. I think I might have asked you this last week.
Yeah, very little. I've read a couple of articles written by people that do have a great knowledge of the lore of Green Lantern, and the mind boggles. It is so deep. They're bringing up all sorts of stuff, all sorts of colors and all sorts of stuff that is kind of crazy and galactic. And I don't know anything about it. I watched the Ryan Reynolds movie.
You did? Wow.
I did. It wasn't great. I think it came at a time when every comic book movie needed to have an origin story, and so we saw that origin story and it wasn't very interesting. But some of the images have stuck with me, and some of those images are incorporated in this TV show on HBO Max. Now, I was a bit on the pilot last week, and I think you were too, but I enjoyed this episode a lot more. I'm on board with this Hal Jordan character, even though he's still a bit of a dick, but he's very tenacious in this mystery. He really wants to find out the backstory of this mystery. He's trying to trust his gut, and it is admirable to see him go about this detective work as thoroughly as he can. And then the second half, or the last third of this episode, goes full comic book, and I got a real thrill seeing the suit, seeing the lantern. I don't know the significance of all of this, but and the shot of him near the end coming down to this alien planet, the prison planet, and this new character that they've introduced, Sinestro, I'm all for it. I was very thrilled by seeing all this, and so I've got real hope for this show that it's tapping into some of that Watchmen magic that we love so much.
Yeah, it hasn't gotten to that level where the show is deeper, richer than just the lore itself, but I'm intrigued by it. And this is, again, just kind of something HBO is able to do, maybe just because of the general quality of the product. But I was like, are people going to tune in for this show? And they announced that in the first 3 days, it had 9.3 million viewers, which is much more, like 80% more or something than the Welcome to Derry show, which ended up getting like 25 million of views per episode on average. So way bigger than Derry, which was really surprising to me because, and by the way, it basically on par, I think is slightly bigger than the Night of Seven Kingdoms, which was really, really surprising how many people tuned in for this, because this is really like not like Batman or even the Flash, it's like a pretty tertiary DC character. So really surprising that people tuned in such large numbers. but that, like I said, there's just a level of confidence where the show just feels fun to watch. And yeah, I'm very intrigued. And in a way, because I really don't know much of the lore of the Lanterns, it makes it part of the pleasure of watching is being introduced to all of it. And I do like the fact that, of course, when we first met John Stewart as a boy, that it was like a fan of the Green Lanterns, and how that's kind of been demystified by actually hanging out with this asshole for so long. But I did love when he goes to his home and he finds that suit, and then he brings it with him. I love that. He's like, don't bring the suit. He's like, if you can figure out how to like take a piss in that suit, then, I'll wear it. But he doesn't want him to bring it, but he does bring it. So, inevitably he's going to wear the Lantern suit again. But, that's the fan of the Green Lantern character. So it's kind of fun to see that. I don't know, like all this stuff, like with this plant, this carnivorous plant he has to feed. I'm like, I don't know what that has to do with anything, but, I guess that's in the comics somewhere, I would presume.
I thought that was funny because it actually you see his fridge and it's all set up with the food for the plant. So he does care. He's not just caring about himself. He cares about something else, and that's his carnivorous plant. So yeah, I thought that was quite cool and quite surprising seeing that.
Shouldn't he bring a lantern with him, by the way? I know that last week it was like an emergency and he had to fly off unannounced, but in the interim, since last week and today, I mean, it wasn't like this didn't happen like 4 hours later. This is some period of time has passed. He should have flown home and gotten that lantern if he needs it to recharge his ring on a regular basis.
I would have thought so too. And the fact that the lantern is hidden in this like little vault that goes into some intergalactic vortex, but now it's just in his bag in the small town. I don't know. I think you need to be a bit more protective of this lantern. I'm not sure.
What's kind of cool about this, I'd have to say, in this whole episode of the show, my favorite thing about it was that Hal does not know what the hell he's doing, even now after being the Lantern for all this time. And I think his origin story was that he got the ring because he was there when the previous Lantern died. So he just inherited it because he was just there physically. And maybe he was never supposed to be the Lantern. Apologies to anybody out there if you know the lore and I'm getting that wrong. But I did wonder about that because it really seems like he's not the best at knowing what he's supposed to know. And of course, that matters in the very end of the episode when he goes to Sinestro and he's like, what's up with these Manhunters, right? Because he doesn't know what's going on, even though John Stewart, when he tells him about it, he's like, yeah, I knew about it, but he didn't know about it, right? So that's interesting that he kind of is out of the loop, maybe acting more than, that he knows what's actually going on when he doesn't really know. But it also made me think about the very first scene in the show where he's just saying, like, you just got to feel it. You're gonna learn how to fly. You just have to think fly, and you're gonna fly. And of course, when John thinks of flying, he actually makes a bird materialize. And great acting here, by the way, that when that happens, he acts like no big deal, but he's kind of like, whoa, how did you do that? Because apparently making a living thing is very difficult. And not only that, he's able to sustain it without the ring, and everybody's impressed by this. But John Stewart doesn't even know that this is a big deal. And by the way, something that Hal can't actually do. So that was really interesting how they just kind of was a subtle thing. And I love that he has the bird with him the rest of the time and that everybody's careful with the bird. They don't want to destroy the bird, even like the people who abduct him later on, protect the bird for him.
I love the bird. Yeah, the bird had a bit of a sad ending, but the guy that created the bird decreated the bird. I did wonder how the bird flew economy back to get the lantern.
Maybe put it in his pocket or something, right? So.
Must have. But yeah, beautiful, magical little bird. I was quite a fan of that. And yeah, it's cool. I like the new characters that they're introducing, these aliens. They seem like they've got a good goal in mind to kill these Manhunters who destroyed their planet, which we see in graphic detail with pulling the gun, it's not a gun, I don't know what it is, some kind of device to the guy's head.
Implant a memory.
Remembers.
Yep.
He can, yeah. That reminds me of that Andor show where that was a way to torture people, the screams of a dying planet. So yeah, that was quite interesting, quite graphic. Yeah, how you can see the pain on Aaron Pierre's face during that. Who do you think? I've got a suspicion of who this Manhunter is. Who do you think the Manhunter is?
You know, it's funny. My immediate thought of who the Manhunter was that it was the sheriff, that it was, what's her name? The actress's name now.
The actress is Kelly MacDonald.
Kelly MacDonald. I forget the character's name also. But I that was my initial thought. But then immediately I had to correct it and say, well, no, because we have this flash forward. And this is my next question for you, actually. We have this flash forward that tells us that, you know, Hal Jordan dies in the future, some 4 years later, or whatever particular amount of time, which they think they did tell us. I just can't remember. Maybe it was 9 years later. But anyway, so we know she's still around, so it probably wasn't her. And we also know, of course, the town does not get decimated because obviously it still exists. So that was going to be my question. I know that every show now has to have the flash forward to keep you on the hook, but is it detrimental? Like, I was in the moment being like, oh my God, do we have a ticking clock? 48 hours. He's got to solve this mystery, or they're going to destroy half of the state. And I'm like, oh no, that doesn't happen. Because we already jumped into the future. So again, I'm not sure they should always use this motif of showing us the future in the first episode. But anyway, who's your guess?
That's interesting. I didn't actually think of that, but yeah, we know the town doesn't get exploded. So obviously they're going to solve the mystery, though. I feel like that's always going to happen. I think it's the benefactor, the mysterious benefactor who is funding this guy's militia. So we haven't seen this character yet, but I think it's him, or it's the wife, the
Yes.
wife who Aaron Pierre likes to bed in the truck Quiddly. So yeah, that's my gut feeling. But yeah, I'm interested in the mystery for sure. I'm interested in how many Manhunters are there, if there's only one hiding out, if there's more. But it makes sense to me that it's the benefactor because he's funding this militia, and this militia is searching for aliens in this town and slaughtering them on the football field, brutally in front of all the kids.
What is going on in this town, though, too? Because to your point of what I like about Hal, his ring doesn't work, and which is fun because, again, we have seen him barely use the ring. He's used it for like really silly things so far, except for flying that one time. Other than that, he's used it for like, at the bar or whatever. And now he is run out of juice when he actually needs it. But he doesn't get deterred by that, right? He like takes the grill off of the car to prove that this thing is not a metal detector. He takes the corpse out of the morgue to prove that it is an alien detector. And so he does this all like with as much effort as possible, which I found very entertaining. But what do you, and by the way, I agree that my second thought beyond the Kelly MacDonald character was, I'm like, who else could it be? Who isn't too obvious? Like the guy who runs the militia seems to be like too obvious. Like, why would he run the militia? Although that could actually turn out to be the case. I actually thought that maybe it was, but then, I thought that it probably is the wife is also my guess. And that there's something more to this Manhunter than meets the eye. Although this is from the comics, by the way, I did a little bit of research, and it's exactly the mythology that they laid out, same as in the comics, that the Manhunters existed. They were machines. They're not human. They existed before the Lanterns. They're they were by the Guardians, this other higher life form, that they were the ones who created them as like the police of the universe. And they were like completely inhuman, like kind of brutal in the way that they dealt out punishment against any kind of minor infraction, and then were eventually destroyed because of some of these horrible things they did. And that the Lanterns are like the replacement for that, right? Like a kind of a more human level guardianship, police force, basically, of the universe. So it's pretty much what that alien mentioned. And specifically, I mean, this is something he says as well, that this particular Manhunter is the very Manhunter that basically killed all those people on his planet. They followed that specific Manhunter to this place in Oklahoma or wherever they are. So obviously it's a pure vendetta, but it's intriguing And we assume, obviously, that they're giving the Lanterns an opportunity to track this person down on their own because they could. They're like, hey, we could just incinerate half the state, but that it would be, there could be a subtler way to do it. But then again, they were trying to do their own police work and have gotten a bunch of their people have been killed off. So yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by the mystery. I want to see how it all plays off. You know, there's going to be more to this story when it finally plays out, but I'm definitely intrigued by all of it. What do you think about the action itself? I thought that was very cool. The reveal that, first of all, Aaron Pierre, even without the ring, is able to like fight in the back of the car. We know he can do fighting because we saw Rebel Ridge, but that whole sequence really cool. He rolls out the back of the car. Seems to be mostly practical, so that seems to be very cool. I'm sure the car wasn't that close to him. That's probably a special effect, but you know, rolling in the street is pretty cool. All of that. And I love when he starts sprinting down the street and then this other guy jumps at the back of the cab and he's way faster, but then we know full well that this guy's not human at that point. So
it's cool. Yeah, I was waiting for Aaron Pierre to do his thing. That shot of as they threw themselves through the car, through the back doors of the van into the street of the freeway and cars zooming past, I thought was quite thrilling. Yeah, pretty cool. I was down with that. Interesting you talk about the law. It seems like with this show and with kind of Damon Lindelof's fingers in it, that it brings all the lore to the show. So if you know all that, you're going to get something out of it. And also, if you know nothing about it, you're still going to get something out of it, which is a really tricky thing to do.
Right.
Now, The Watchmen was able to do it quite successfully, I think. And so hopefully they have success with it for this because, yeah, I'm looking forward to what happens. I'm invested now in the mystery. I'm liking the action. And yeah, it's really cool. What did you think? I really love this reveal of Sinestro at the end. Yeah. His like pencil mustache. He's got this, I didn't recognize the actor, but he has a real kind of old school kind of film look, like an old school like villain or something. And I was very interested in what he knows and how he goes about stuff because, as you say, Hal Jordan's just kind of fooling through it. He doesn't really know any backstories, or he's, as you say, probably is not the person that was supposed to wear the ring. But it looks like Sinestro's got answers to everything.
Well, one of the creators of the show, not Lindelof, but one of the other creators, mentioned that the Sinestro reveal was matched or patterned after the Silence of the Lambs. So this is supposed to be like going to talk to Lecter about to get the lowdown. So presumably, given that fact that they're paralleling this to Silence of the Lambs, that you'd assume that Sinestro is going to start playing kind of mind games, which, by the way, if that is something they play out, I would love to see that. Like in the same way that Lecter set Clarice on a mission and gave her like kind of tasks to do, but was secretly using and manipulating her into sending signals to Buffalo Bill himself. Like if that type of dynamic plays out, like if Sinestro's always a step ahead, that would be really fun to watch, to be honest.
Very cool. Yeah, I think I did pick that up, especially when he's going into the depths of this prison and going past the doors. And yeah, that's really cool that that's what they're referencing because, I mean, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. So yeah, if they can get that kind of vibe, then I'm down.
Well, the irony here too is for them to say we're patterning this after Silence of the Lambs, when what they should say is this is William Peterson going to see Lecter in Manhunter because they're looking for a Manhunter.
It all comes full circle.
By the way, Manhunter, for everybody who's like another like lost classic for anybody who's never seen it. Do you ever see that?
Yeah, absolutely I did. That's so that's the guy from Succession plays Hannibal Lecter in that, doesn't he?
That's right. That's Brian Cox playing Lecter and William Peterson playing the investigator. Forget his name now. Same character that's in the Hannibal series.
Yeah, and he's Clarice's boss, I think, in those series of movies. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Manhunter. Haven't seen it in a long time, but I've seen it a couple of times.
I just watched it last year again because they reissued it and I watched it. But terrible needle drop at the end of that movie, really, really. But other than that, a great film. Oh, and of course, Tom Noonan the killer in that movie just died a couple weeks ago.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he just died a couple weeks ago. R.I.P. Tom Noonan. Also, really interesting director, by the way. I was going to talk about that on the podcast, but I couldn't find his films that he's directed are not available to stream anywhere. So anyway, maybe they'll reissue them now that he's died, because I remember years and years ago seeing his first film that he directed at the Toronto Film Festival, which I drove to when I was like a teenager, or maybe in my early 20s. And it never came out in theaters, but, it was playing at the festival, like in the olden days where things would only play at festivals. And it's a great film. But anyway, and by the way, the reason I thought about it was actually not because of Noonan dying. I thought about it because of the movie The Invite, because there's a lot of borrowed from that film, although it's so obscure, she's probably never seen it. But The Invite and Noonan's first film have a lot of shared DNA. Now I can't remember the name of that. Anyway, I'll do a better job of tracking that all down. I'm able to talk about it once it's available to stream somewhere, which hopefully they will resuscitate a lot of his more obscure work. And we'll discuss it. Maybe when The Invite comes out on HBO Max, we can watch both. We'll do like a double feature.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do know his name from Manhunter. I know that he played Francis Dolarhyde in that, and so every time he's cropped up in movies since then, I just imagine him back to that character. So yeah, that's him in my mind. I didn't know he was a director, but yeah, that's very cool.
The couple more things on Lanterns I wanted to circle back to. What did you think? First of all, very funny that Hal Jordan is just like, you're going to have to shoot me because I'm going to come on your property. And she's like, don't do it. And they actually shoot him. And he's like, they shot me. He's like so shocked by this turn of events. They could have killed him, but I mean, he didn't have his ring was depowered, so he couldn't have even protected himself. But he did survive. They shot him very strategically. And but what did you make of the fact that he's in the hospital? And like every time anybody's in the hospital in this episode of the show, there's like nobody in the hospital. Like there's like literally the staff in the hospital is there exclusively for him. And when he went and took the body out, the place was abandoned. So this place, it's probably not that populated, but this is a pretty big hospital and nobody's working in it. Then why do they have this big hospital? So anyway, a lot of question marks over what's happening in that hospital. And maybe this goes back to, like you mentioned, that benefactor for the town. Like, what's his agenda, right? And why do we have this giant hospital for this little town? Like, what if no one's ever there? Why did we build this giant thing?
That's very interesting. A lot of the equipment was new. It was covered. It hasn't been used yet. The rooms are all there ready for some kind of mass event. And I definitely thought that the mysterious benefactor has funded this, but so he's obviously expecting some kind of massacre or something to happen, and he's prepared for it.
And the only other thing I wanted to bring up was, of course, the scene where Stewart meets up with the wife again. This militia guy's wife, Derek Gallahan. I can't remember his name now. The actor's name. My brain. It's late at night, everybody. My brain's not operational at this hour. But Dillahunt, I think his last name is. But
Garrett Dillahunt.
Garrett Dillahunt. Yeah. Correct. Yes. So his wife, when they have that conversation, and that's another thing that's a little mystery here. She's like, when I need my space, he's okay with it. I just do my thing. And they're like, okay. He's like, they did seem like that's the kind of guy that he would be cool with that. But so what's going on in that marriage is another mystery as well. It seems to be like a marriage of opportunity in some ways. So,
well, maybe she. Now I'm thinking that she is definitely the manhunter, and she is the benefactor as well. And it's a marriage of convenience because she needs this guy to lead a militia to protect her. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah,
that's a good point. I didn't think about that, but it would be I would say, like, how does that play out, especially with her trying to be pretty close to the Lanterns? But I'm like, that makes sense because she could be hiding in plain sight as the wife, but like you said, actually the benefactor, and just standing by his side as his wife and just playing like this demure secondary character when she's actually the one who's in control. And then again, using this sexual liaison as a way to get closer to the Lantern. It's a very Femme Fatale style. So if you want to go like noir again, we have another Femme Fatale, just like in our Reacher coverage.
Yeah, for sure. And the show is called Lanterns. So there's going to be more lanterns. Surely there's not just the one ring and these two. We know that there's another one, your old mate with the great haircut from the Superman movie last year.
Which they did show in the trailer, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I haven't seen the trailer, but there's a thumbnail, and he's always in the thumbnail that I go to click on. So I'm like, well, we've seen 2 episodes and we haven't seen him yet. How is he going to play into it? I assume he's going to be in the later time period. So the period when Hal is dead, I assume that's where he's going to come into it. But looking forward to seeing Nathan Fillion in it, another lantern, yes, and maybe this Manhunter is also a type of lantern as well. I don't know the lore, but I feel like I've been reading stuff that there's all sorts of colors and all sorts of different lanterns. But yeah, maybe someone can write in to tell us if it follows the lore and maybe give us a bit of a deeper understanding of it, because I feel a little bit underdone talking about it when I don't know the nuts and bolts.
I mean, on the one hand, I almost didn't want to cover it because I'm not a big comic person. But then I think I'm just trying to be the layperson, which, by the way, is the vast majority of people who are, they're not like, it's not even like someone who grew up reading all the Superman comics. This is a pretty secondary comic book character. So I think it allows you to not have to have all the heaviness of the lore. So curious to see how it plays out. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I enjoyed this. Like you said, I mean, I think it's at the same level of quality as the first episode. But again, it just feels like they're giving me more, just easing me more. And by the way, like when Jon Stewart's talking to the alien, that's really is just an information dump of a bunch of history that we need to know. But it still is, I don't mind it. And I think I got to stop trying to compare it to Watchmen, where Watchmen did this much more elegantly, where it just kind of incepted the history of it into your mind, even though maybe I had the advantage of having read the comic years ago, so I did know the general lore. But all that is to say that it's still, I mean, they have to do it. They have to cover that. And it's been relatively not annoying to have to listen to these things.
And there was a reference to Batman as well in this, which I liked. Kelly
Yes,
MacDonald's character has moved there from Gotham.
Right? So. Which, of course, makes her potentially a suspect in being this Manhunter too, because she has this, she's not from the area. But again, like I said, she would probably be suspect number 1, if not for the fact that we've done that flash forward. So maybe not doing themselves any favors by having too much of that.
Correct. And she seems like such a strong character. It's her town. She's the sheriff, and she's married the lawyer who we haven't seen much of, who's this, he's the son of the militiaman. So is that a marriage of convenience as well? Is that to keep her close to this family? I'm not sure, but the lawyer, he doesn't seem to be much of a match for the sheriff so far.
Okay, this last part of the episode is only for like the real heads out there who want to hear us babble about things that they probably won't catch up on. Darren, what is your relationship with Nicolas Winding Refn? Have you watched his stuff?
Well, it's a question without notice. I've watched, what have I watched? The Neon Demon, and I've watched Drive. He did Drive, didn't he? So yeah, Drive was the main one that I've seen, and I haven't really seen much of the other. I can't remember anything of this Neon Demon movie, but Drive it's a whole vibe, isn't it?
Yes, big time. Yeah. The reason I brought it up is because another thing I saw and was Her Private Hell, this movie that came out, played at Cannes, that I was very excited for. It seemed like he was kind of returning to more mainstream film. And anyway, all this to say that it's quite a disaster. But it is kind of a mix of Only God Forgives and Neon Demon. No Drive in there, but some of his more odd films that haven't quite worked. But see, I really like Only God Forgives, and everybody hates that movie. So I was like, I'm going to be the outlier here. I'm going to like this one too. And for the first half of the movie, which is pure vibes, it is like just the weirdest moments from like the Twin Peaks Lynch, the recent one. So it's like taking the most bizarre moments from there and then stretching them out to an entire film, which, by the way, this sounds awesome to me personally. And so I was just kind of riding at the vibes and like, it doesn't have to make sense. And this was like, I was there for like the first half of the movie. And by the time I got to the end, I gave it 1.5 stars. Because when I got to the end, I was just like, what the hell is even going on over here anymore? But Sophie Thatcher is great. in it, and Charles Melton is not so great in it, although he said some interesting details there. But anyway, I might cut this all out because I thought you might have a take on Refn and you might have watched more of his stuff. But if you are a completist, I'm like, man, this was not good. But
well, I love those two actors. And this was a little bit on my radar because I have heard that it's coming out. But yeah, I haven't done a deep dive on Refn, and that's a shame. 1.5. That's not good at all.
But I mean, I still would watch his next thing because it is not a 1.5 and like nothing happens. It's like a 1.5 and you're like, what happened? You know, like it's a fascinating turn of events. Oh, by the way, before we wrap up, I just curious, speaking of Refn, have you seen his TV work? Have you seen Too Old to Die Young on Prime, or have you seen what was the Copenhagen Cowboy on Netflix? Have you seen either one of those?
Again, I've heard of them, but I haven't dug into them. No.
Okay. All right. I do recommend Copenhagen Cowboy, by the way. So that was like his previous thing to this, and it's actually really good. So that's why I thought that all this negative, this hate about this new movie, I'm like, it's going to work for me. Didn't work for anybody else, but it's going to work for me. And I'm like, oh boy. Okay, even this doesn't work for me. So it's rough. All right,
interesting.
Darren.
Yeah, don't cut it out because that's all. It's all good stuff, mate. It's all. Someone's going to be a Refn diehard, and they're going to hear you talk about him, and they're going to write in because it seems like this guy's done a huge body of work, and he's obviously a major artist. But yeah, it's just hit and miss for sure.
I mean, he is just disappeared down his own asshole at this point. It's just incredible because, you know, like you think about even Copenhagen Cowboy, which had a plot still, and even, you know, the Pusher movies, which are so good. But I mean, I thought he was going to go and do like a genre film, but with his flair and like, man, I can't even describe it. It's like the movie takes place in this like Blade Runner type world. The skyscrapers look like hands coming out of the ground. It's all like neon blue and red, like you see in so many of his films. And it's like looks incredible. But then it's all about this woman, and there's a serial killer that kills people and like literally like rips people in half, like grabs them and tears them in half, and like blood spatters everywhere. And he's all in black leather, but with covered in diamonds. And the only way to kill him is to cut off his hands, which is another thing from Only God Forgives. It is crazy. Oh, and then best of all, Charles Melton is in a story that takes place like in Vietnam in the past. And it's as if these two things are happening in the same world, but they're in completely different time periods. So, at one point when you're like, why are these two stories even happening? You see Sophie Thatcher wake up and I'm like, wait a second, is this actual person who has agency in this world all inside of her dream? Like, what is happening?
None of this makes sense to me.
None of it.
I don't know what you're talking
any
about.
sense at all. Well, trust me, it doesn't make sense when you watch it either.
I do see that he actually did that movie Bronson starring Tom Hardy years and years ago. That was a really interesting film. I did watch that, and it reminded me of this Australian film Chopper, which was really successful. Real life character, real life criminal, kind of crazy dude as well. They seem to have a bit of a similar vibes going on. But yeah, I really liked Bronson, even though it was very art house and very confronting and challenging. But yeah, Tom Hardy was excellent in it.
But there's a movie called Valhalla Rising with Mads Mikkelsen, which is really good, by the way. Another movie that everybody hates, but really interesting. And so I mean, I've been a fan of him, and this film is very sad. This is maybe the first film that I just don't think works at all. But even then, like I said, I was actually vibing with it for quite some time. And then I just got to the end and I'm like, okay, at this point, like this is just meaningless garbage. You know? He's just putting stuff on the screen at this point that whatever comes out of his head, it's, it's not working. But I do hope he can, I don't know, like work with a writer, like Drive, work with another writer and kind of mold the material around some kind of genre. I mean, it doesn't have to be Drive like that linear, but I mean, he's just way off the mark as, but I guess we'll see. I mean, he still gets funding. So,
well, that's right. Yeah. He's got money tap from somewhere.
Yep. But like I said, Copenhagen Cowboy, which is like 3 years ago from Netflix, which they probably spent the fortune on, was just equally as bizarre as everything I just said. At some point at the end, I think at the end, the reveal is, spoilers for that show, I think it's that the whole show turns out that what we've actually been seeing is a battle between space aliens and vampires. I think that's what happens.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And you're like, I think that's what happened. But literally, like, you watch it and tell me what you think. That might not be a spoiler. That's how bizarre that show is. But I loved it. I kind of loved it. And it was about something, by the way. It was about something as well. So not just vampires and aliens, but about like these villains, these criminal ring is like running these immigrant women as they're sex trafficking them. So it becomes about like these quote unquote vampires are literally like, it's like a critique on the way that these people are just used, and like these rich people become vampires either literally or metaphorically. And so anyway, it has something to say, and it's actually beautifully made and really disturbing as well. But that was interesting. And this one, I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on in this movie. And it just seems to be not about anything other than like whatever he just was like, I just had a dream and I want to record it. Like it's that like, silly.
That's the worst kind of movie.
Exactly.
Unless you're David Lynch. Yeah, that's terrible.
Right. Exactly. Lynch is the only one who could pull that off. So, and this is very Lynchy, by the way, like the new film. It is like Lynchy, but mixed with like De Palma at his campiest. So it's like kind of like a weird blend, which by the way has always been Refn's thing to an extent, but it's but it just, wow, like what a mess. I like Neon Demon. People hate Neon. I like Neon Demon. People don't like that. I like that too. This is not.
I've got all these movies up on my laptop now, and you've been very little help to select one of them to watch.
Yeah, and watch the Pusher
trilogy. Confidence.
Watch the Pusher trilogy, although with Nicholson, that's what made him a star. So check those out first.
All right, okay, I got Pusher. All right, let's put Pusher at the top of the list then.
There you go. Push that to the top of the list. All right, Darren. Thanks again for the conversation. We will be talking Lanterns. We'll be talking the finale of Furious. Get your opinion on that next week.
Oh, and, can't wait.
Yeah, very excited for that. And talking Reacher next week as well.
All sounds good. Thanks so much, Victor.
All right, Darren. Have a good one.
Cheers. Bye.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.